All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with another daily update on Bitcoin and the crypto markets. Okay, guys, so yesterday in the video, I did talk about one box of resistance, and all I did was extend this box of resistance to show that it's a support resistance flip as well. But this box of resistance was over here yesterday, and this was the area that we were looking for a potential rejection on Bitcoin, with it being the wave forward target of the impulse to the downside. If we were going to continue this as an impulse to the downside, this was our target area because it is the macro value area high of our big daily range. Let me go ahead and show you guys that. If we zoom out onto the daily chart here, on the daily chart, it is our value area high of our range. Now that we have re-entered daily candles back within the volume profile, we have not come back up for a bearish backtest of this macro value area high yet. So on the macro value area high, if you're coming up for the bearish backtest and you reject, we could expect more downside to come in. So value area high of the range. And then if we zoom back in onto the 2-hour chart and we do that Fibonacci pull from the lows or from the highs of a potential wave 3 to the lows of a potential wave 3, and we turn on those wave 4 targets, the 0.5 is at the top of the box, and I primarily lowered the box or shrank the box between the value area high and that 0.5. That is where we came up to. We pumped up to that area today, and we are seeing a bit of a rejection from this general area. You can see we have actually not hit the 0.5 yet. So there is a potential that we continue to kind of slow grind up into hitting that 0.5. And what I'm looking for now, this pitchfork midline here has been a very key pitchfork midline that we have been watching, and it has been acting as support for Bitcoin every time we come down to it. We are seeing it hold as support. And over last Friday, we lost it to the downside, and we have been trying to get back above it ever since. Now, earlier today, we did get back above it. You can see yesterday, we got back above it. We rejected from the value area high, had a higher low come in on the charts, and then we kind of took another little high today, but we are still in our target zone of a rejection, and we are seeing that bit of a rejection, and now we're starting to lose that pitchfork midline again. If we start to close multiple hourly candles below this pitchfork midline, I do think that we could see that initial that big breakdown that we're looking for in order to complete a 5-wave impulse to the downside. There is one concern I have about this 5-wave impulse to the downside, though. In an Elliott wave impulse, you do not want to see your wave 1 lows overlap with your wave 4. You do not want your wave 4 to come up into your wave 1 lows and overlap. That can be an invalidation for the impulse. Now, in cryptocurrency, I have seen these overlaps before where it does overlap just barely and the impulse continues to play out and actually does play out. So if we look at if we just grab a horizontal ray and go to the lows of our wave 1, you can see here that we do have a little bit of overlap between wave 1 and wave 4 here on the impulse down, which does decrease the odds that this is an impulse to the downside, but rather a 3-wave corrective move where the correction could be done and we could be about to break out to the upside again and maybe make new all-time highs here. Until we get above this purple box here, I would say we still have a probability of the impulse playing out to the downside. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this rise that we've seen the past few days here, and let's just analyze what we're seeing here. I pulled a parallel channel, and this parallel channel is just taken from the 2 highs here, and we'll bring it down to the low. And you can see that Bitcoin's been just chopping around in this parallel channel. And since we are losing that pitchfork midline, and I did talk about this in the VC stream earlier today in Jason's Discord, if we lose this midline and start to close hourly candles below it, which we now are starting to close hourly candles below it, you can see we lost it, tried to backtest it, rejected the bearish backtest after losing it, and now we are dropping lower. So there is one area that I am looking at for the potential support to come in if this trend of the channel is going to continue. So we could just come down to the bottom of the channel bounce from the bottom of the channel, and then come up one more time to hit that 0.5 and still lose the channel, reject, and see that wave forward play out and the bigger dump to the downside. But let's go ahead and grab a Fibonacci, and we'll go from the lows to the highs here, and let's turn on our golden pocket. You can see that golden pocket is coming in right around the lows of the channel. And actually, if we just go from our lows, our last big daily lows on Monday, you can see this golden pocket right here. I actually already have it on the chart. So let me just delete this one that I just made, and let's pull on that fib, or that golden pocket. This golden pocket is coming in, and it is just from our lows on Monday to our highs of today. This last 3-wave move up that we've seen here, we can look at this golden pocket at the bottom of the channel as a potential support level for Bitcoin. If we come down to this area, bounce from our 105K golden pocket, 104.9, 104.8, and the bottom of the channel, there is a potential that we could come back up, reclaim this pitchfork midline, and work our way up to that 0.5 level, seeing a potential rejection once we hit the 0.5 and losing the channel. Or based off of what we are seeing right now on money flow looks pretty good on some of the higher time frames. We could see a bounce at this area of 105 and a break through our level of resistance, and for Bitcoin to continue to much higher levels, which would, in that case, invalidate the impulse to the downside. So far for me, even though that we do have a little bit of overlap of wave 1 and wave 4, I would say this impulse to the downside is not completely invalidated yet, because we do in crypto see sometimes a bit of overlap. And so let's now zoom out here on the charts. So this is our potential local support level where we could expect Bitcoin to bounce if we are going to continue this trend to the upside. If we do lose this golden pocket here, I do think we are going to see that bigger dump to the downside and that impulse completion down to play out, where then we could be looking at a bigger ABC correction to the downside that takes days to weeks. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll hide that channel and we'll hide that Fibonacci pull. And let's look at our range that we have been forming since May 8th. Bitcoin has been in this upper range here since May 8th, and we've kind of been trending sideways and almost creating a sort of distribution pattern up here. It looks like we could be creating a Model 2 distribution pattern, or a head and shoulders, whatever you want to call it. But let's go ahead and analyze the volume of this range. We can pull this volume. Let me just make sure it is pulled all the way to current price action. Okay, and you can see here over the weekend, or last Friday, we did bounce from the point of control of the range. And if we bounce from the point of control, we can expect Bitcoin, if it is going to be bullish, to work its way up to the value area high of the range, where buyers were willing to step in at the fair value for the asset. So will they sell at the overvalued portion of the asset, according to the last 3 weeks of price action, what the market has been pricing Bitcoin for the last 3 weeks. So let's go ahead and do our Fibonacci pull of this, just this wave, potential wave 3 impulse down. It's either a wave 3 or a wave C, but let's go ahead and go from the highs to the lows. And if we look at where our golden pocket is coming in, it is coming in right at that value area high. So there is a potential that Bitcoin does bounce from the parallel channel. Oh, I guess I already had that fib on there. Okay. From the parallel channel bottom along with the golden pocket. And we do end up breaking this purple box of resistance to the upside and coming up to not only the top of the channel, but it would be our value area high and our golden pocket. And we could see a rejection from this area. Now, if we do come up to 108K, this 5-wave impulse to the downside to me would be invalidated, because that would be way too much overlap of wave 1 with wave 4. So I would no longer be looking at this as an impulse to the downside. You could still look at a rejection from this area, a scalp short from this area, because it is the value area high of our range, and we know to look for longs near the lows of the range and look for shorts near the highs of the range if you're just volume profile trading. And in that scenario, though, I would be looking now that the impulse would be invalidated, the 5-wave impulse to the downside would be invalidated. I would be looking at this as an A, B, C that's been finished. And now we are going to come in. This would be our wave 1 to the upside. We could look for the higher low to come in on the charts and maybe at the golden pocket. And then we could look for a push up to new, to break out of the volume profile and potentially come break new all-time highs, but we would be looking for a sort of 5-wave impulse to the upside after an ABC correction has been completed. So these are the scenarios that I'm looking at for Bitcoin right now. We are still just ranging within the range. 3 weeks now, we've been ranging within this range. And if we do lose this trend of the channel, I do think the bigger dump can start to play out. Until that happens, Bitcoin is still just in the range. It's still just ranging, and we can expect to either lose this range to the downside or, see a small rejection and then continue to break up. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll turn that off now. And one thing I did forget to mention on that small Fibonacci support just below us, if we turn that back on, there is an internal liquidity grab into that area. And that is the internal liquidity grab of yesterday's lows. So that, or today's lows, excuse me, today's lows. So if we do come down into that golden pocket, we can grab the lows up from today, see a bounce from that area. It just added confluence for support in that bottom of the channel around 104.9 to 104.8. This is something that I will be watching for on Bitcoin. If we are seeing bull divs coming up down into this support level, we could look for a scalp long there. Okay, let's now look at Market Cipher. So on the 1 hour chart, our money flow is starting to top out a bit here, and we are seeing those bear divs that are coming in on the chart on the 1 hour. Higher highs on the price action today, lower highs on the momentum waves, also on NAMI, lower highs on the momentum waves, higher highs on the price action, and our money flow on NAMI is draining out on the 1 hour time frame, showing that we could have expected this rejection from our purple box that we drew on the chart yesterday and gave you guys a heads up on yesterday. Okay, let's zoom out to the 4 hour chart. 4 hour chart, money flow had been looking really good on this push up so far, but you can see it's starting to flatten out here, and NAMI did print the bear divs on the chart. We do have those bear divs on the chart on NAMI. Money flow has topped out and it is starting to curve down again. So this is, we did talk about yesterday, if we are going to reject and create a lower high and continue the push to the downside, this was the area to be looking for the short position. And we did come up into that area, and so far we are seeing a rejection and we are losing the pitchfork midline. Now, if we zoom out onto the 8 hour chart, money flow still looks pretty good here. You can see it is kind of starting to round off a bit here on Market Cipher B, and on NAMI, it is crossing over into the green, but now it's starting to dip back and cross back over into the red here. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's kind of hard to see there. But we are seeing some signs where this purple box could actually reject us. And then finally, let's zoom out to the daily chart. On the daily chart, you can see that we have lost the macro value area high. And this is our first time since losing that macro value area high. Let me just turn off this smaller range. This macro value area high that is coming in right around 106,500. It's our first time, you could see, came down, bounced from it, rejected from the band, dropped back within our volume profile. And this is our first bearish back test of that value area high since being back within the volume profile. Now, because we are rejecting so far, it does mean that we might get that bigger dump back inside the volume profile, potentially back down to 96.5, 97K, where the point of control is. But I would like to say our money flow still doesn't look that bad on Market Cipher B here. You can see it's kind of rising to the upside again. And our momentum wave yesterday, in yesterday's video, we did have that green dot on the momentum wave. And of course, I started making that video right as market open was happening, or the daily open, excuse me, was happening for Bitcoin. But you can see with the dump that we've seen today, or with the price action that we've seen today, the green dot is now missing from the chart here. And it does look like our momentum wave, it was starting to look like it wanted to curl over yesterday, but now that we are back down below the pitchfork midline, it is looking like it maybe wants to continue to blow out here for a bit, and we could see continuation to the downside. So, yes, a slow day for Bitcoin. We are rejecting from our resistance area. There is still a potential that this is going to be a five-wave impulse down. Now, I would expect if this is a five-wave impulse down, there is a couple key targets we could be looking at. And we've been talking about these targets already on the chart for support over the last week. Let's zoom back in here onto the 2-hour chart just so we can get a better look at this. And this range that we've been analyzing here, and we talked about this range on Friday. We talked about the lows of this range at 100.7, where we do have a lot of liquidity that is resting below. We do have a lot of liquidity that is resting below. Let me go ahead and zoom out onto the last. All right, well, you guys will have to take my word for it. There was a lot of liquidity that is resting below you. I showed you guys that in yesterday's video. So, or if you don't believe me, you can go check for yourself. But we do have a lot of liquidity resting below our range lows. You actually don't even need a liquidation heat map to understand that. Just know that buyers stepped in the market here. And ever since those buyers stepped in the market here, we have not come back down to stop them out. And so the liquidity is resting down there. And if this five-wave impulse is going to play out, then we can measure our wave 5 target area, this being a 1, 2, 3, 4. If the high is in and we are going to break down, we can measure our wave 5 targets and find where that support would be. So first off, let's go ahead and turn on our support boxes. Let's see, that was our very old support, so I can actually get rid of that. We did see a small bounce from that area right here. And we were looking at the liquidity grab at 100.7 into our pitchfork band. So let's go ahead and take that wave 5 target. Let's see, there we go. Okay, now our wave 5 targets are between the 1.236 and the 1.618. And what we're going to do is, how you measure that is you're just going to grab your Fibonacci retracement tool. You're going to go from the lows of 4 to the highs of 4, and you're going to turn on those levels, those between the 1.236 and the 1.618. So if we look at this, could be our target area for our wave 5 to the downside, if we are going to see that wave 5 to the downside. And let's go ahead and throw on a horizontal ray here. You can see that the lows of the range are coming in right around our 1.618, which is one of the more common areas. Actually, I actually find that the 1.618 in an impulse to the downside gets hit more often than the 1.236, or it bounces more often from the 1.618. And with that liquidity resting below us, it does not have to end exactly at this level. It can go a little bit past this level here, where we could see that liquidity grab of our range lows into our pitchfork band of support, reclaim that and start to make that bigger push to the upside. So in this general area, if we do see a confirmed swing failure pattern of the lows, I will be looking for a long. Now, for me, I'm not going to long the exact touch of the pitchfork because there's a potential that it could continue breaking to the downside. So what I would be doing is, if we do bounce in our impulse down, if we do bounce from the pitchfork band of support, and the second we reclaim those lows, those range lows, I would be looking for a long from that area, and I would be looking to take it up. So we put our stop below wherever those lows are on the pitchfork band of support. And in this case, because we did complete a 5-wave impulse to the downside, that could be your wave A of a much bigger A, B, C down all the way potentially to 96.5. What I'm going to be looking for is, if I take a Fibonacci from the start of the impulse to the end of the impulse, and I'm just going to throw it right on that pitchfork band, and we're going to look at our golden pocket. And this golden pocket here is where we would look for a TP1 on the trade, a potential TP for a lower high to come in on the chart. So your stop would go below that low. You would be targeting the golden pocket, which by the time we got up there, you would expect a 3-wave corrective move up into that area. By the time we got up there, it would be a larger time frame bearish backtest of our pitchfork midline in confluence with our golden pocket, where then you could see another 5 wave impulse to the downside, completing the bigger A, B, C correction to the downside, potentially down to 97K. And that's what I'll be looking for on Bitcoin over the next, week to 2 weeks here. We're at a crucial decision point. Are we going to actually reject and break this parallel channel to the downside? If we break this parallel channel down, I do think that we could dump all the way to take our range lows. If we hold that local support, golden pocket at the bottom of the parallel channel, then I do think that we could continue to push up, invalidating this as an impulse to the downside. If we bounce from this level, I do think we could invalidate as a potential impulse to the downside and break up to make new all-time highs. So that is about it for the TA here. Let's go ahead and come in on our open interest charts. And one of the things that I do find interesting here on the open interest is if we look at today's push up, you can see that this push up today has been a very healthy push up with a lot of increase in open interest. Now, not all of the open interest is showing that it was longs that were pushing the price up. You can see that we did have a lot of shorts that were coming in, all these fresh shorts that were coming in here towards the top area here. And that does make sense because you're going to be shorting once you get to that bearish backtest of the value area high in confluence with your wave 4 targets if you're looking at this as an impulse down. So we do have some potential short positions. Right now, they're not underwater, but if we do bounce from local support and trap them, it could give us fuel to continue that push to the upside. We are seeing open interest kind of decline after that. This whole push down that we've seen since rejecting from the purple box, our open interest is declining. And we are seeing some longs come in on the charts here. Longs in this area coming in on the charts gave us that little push up. We made a lower high. And longs are just stepping in every once in a while. The bears and the bulls are in a fight to defend Bitcoin to see if Bitcoin is, are the bears going to be successfully able to break Bitcoin back down, or are the bulls going to be able to defend this and push Bitcoin up to new all-time highs? That's what we're looking at here for Bitcoin. And this is pretty much all I'm going to be paying attention to now. You guys know the support levels that I'm looking at, and the 104.9. If we lose that, I do think that 100K area of support. And then to the upside, if we hit that golden pocket value area high above us, I will consider the impulse to the downside invalidated. So that is going to be at about 108K. At 108K, we could see that impulse to the downside invalidated. And in that case, even if we reject from 108K, I would expect a higher low to come in on the charts before continuation to the upside. That is it for Bitcoin today, guys. In this video, I'm only going to do Bitcoin. If you got anything out of this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Share it with any of your friends or family you might find interested. We do have 2 partners of the channel. We have BYDFI. They are a KYC-less exchange. They no KYC, no VPN required. All you need is an email and a password. You can get up to $8,100 in futures trading bonuses, and you can get up to $1,000 in your 15% off your initial on your initial deposit. Up to 15% cash back on your initial deposit. So link is in the description below for this. They are also offering my members that sign up under my affiliate link discounts on trading fees, 17% discount on trading fees just for the basic, and depending on how much you deposit, you can get more of a discount on your trading fees. The second sponsor of the channel is MEXC. They are offering 10% cash back on your initial deposit and up to $20,000 in futures trading bonuses depending on how much volume you use. And then lastly, we do have NAMI down here. NAMI is a new indicator that I've been using to help enter and exit trades. This indicator is, the affiliate link for this indicator is in the description, and I do have a 50% off coupon. Divine50 is the code. If you want to use that, you can try this out. So thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow.